What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Spectator Mode Podcast. I'm your host, Keith D. Mitchell, and I look a little different. It's gone. Gone. I feel younger. I feel 10 years younger. Carl's like, I don't care. Anyway, we missed you guys last week. We had a lot of stuff to take care of, and one of us were not here. So we're going to talk about all that and more. But of course, my buddy Scott in the middle.
Howdy.
And Angry Carl on the side.
Yes.
And we're about to wreck your entire world. So get ready. But before we do that, we talk about the games and or shows and movies that we've either watched and played, which is a really cool segment that we try to keep under 20 minutes. You hear that, Scott?
Right.
Under 20 minutes. That's it.
With how much he's been playing, he could do a 2-hour podcast on his own.
Yeah, I mean, if you just see all this, it's all Scott. But I will say that, believe it or not, I've been playing a lot of Metaphor ReFantazio. I mean, this game has me hooked. Has me hooked. I didn't believe it's going to have me hooked as much as it did, and I'm playing on PC, even though I did get the Xbox Collector Edition. I'm like, damn it. So like I can play it on my ROG Ally when I'm not around. And then come downstairs and play it. So I guess the PC version, if they just make all these cross progression, it'd be fantastic. But I'm not going to get into that high horse today. Not going to do it. Also been watching more stuff that I have been playing. Went back to see Transformers 1 yet again,
as everybody should.
It surpassed the $110 million mark finally.
Nice.
So that's good.
So it's basically made back the 75 million it cost to make it.
Yep.
But the thing is, it would need to clear at least 200 million to cover all costs, including marketing. So even though it has been reduced in cinemas worldwide, go and see it while you still can.
Go see it more time.
Otherwise, you buy about 4,000 copies when it hits like Blu-ray, digital, everything else.
You know, us 4K junkies, we're going to go get the Blu-rays. That's the best way to watch it.
Yeah.
Before they get rid of our physical media, because
HD Blu-rays.
We're not going to talk about that. Also, Vox Mechana Season 3 came out.
Nice.
Watch it. Just go watch it. It left off where 2 was, and it's just as good. Probably even better. Please go watch it.
I've been thinking. What's your idea? No, I just want to let you know I've been thinking. Grog is my he's my favorite character in that show. I love him.
Too many of them there to consider because Percy has his moments. They're all great. I really do like Percy and his dynamic with Vex right now. That's I'm not going to spoil it. Just go watch it. What else? Dragon Ball Daima. First episode came out.
I haven't seen it yet.
I need to watch it. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to go watch it. So let me just stop for a second. There's been a lot of talk about this show, and people are arguing about the show. And I really hope this show comes out well because it looks like StreamYard is being stupid. But this comes right after the Dragon Ball Z Buu Saga and before Super. Stop arguing. They literally gave you hints on the trailers. Come on. So obviously, basically, I'm not going to spoil it, but all the favorites that are now kids, and they get to go check out the Demon World. And I wish the first episode was a lot more giving you everything that I wanted to see, but the fact is you'll have to wait every weekend to see it. So it sucks for us in the US because we got to wait for a Crunchyroll or Netflix. I think Netflix is going to have
Netflix has it, but they don't start till the 18th.
So there's that. That was it. Basically, if I'm not watching TV, I'm playing Metaphor. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah,
it's great. It's a great game. No Dragon Ball, nothing but that. All right, Carl,
you get it eventually.
I can't go to the end.
What have I? Well, I haven't been playing things. I've got to play Square with the Gun. I've got to play Silent Hill 2. I've got to play Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I went from having nothing to play to a backlog already that only took a week. But as for what I've been watching and what I've been playing, obviously, as it says in my little extra bit on my name there, I've returned for PAX Australia 2024, where there was a lot of things on display. Surprisingly enough, I'll go more in depth in the PAX later, but surprised that Sega, they had a booth there, but no Sonic X Shadows. They had like they had somebody in a Sonic costume that you take photos with. That was it. So they didn't actually have the game there.
Wait. They were advertising. Wait, Sonic is there, but no Sonic. No.
Sonic's there, but his game isn't.
Believe me, I'll get in. Believe me, there's a lot more to that. But I did play a couple of indie things that they'll be coming up. One called Which Way Up Galaxy.
Ooh.
What is that?
Think like sort of like Mario Party mini games, but using Mario Galaxy physics.
Okay, that sounds weird. But okay,
it sounds weird, but it is very competitive. A very well done game. I'm talking to them about getting us a few extra codes so we can do a multiple. Supports up to 4 players. So
no, it's one of those things.
Nice.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that we're going to stream and yell and destroy each other on. That's
Last time we did that, it didn't do well, did it, Scott?
I've also been watching Vox Machina season 3. I haven't seen episodes 4, 5, and 6 yet. I'll be watching those after we're done with the podcast to catch up because they came out while I was at PAX.
How dare?
Yeah, how dare. I did get to go to the movies while we were away just for one night. We went and saw The Wild Robot.
Oh, how was that? I forgot
Excellent. It is. It's going to be one of those ones that a lot of people are going to put under the radar just due to the subject matter. But it is sort of. It's like an animated sci-fi indie film of sorts. Like it has a very indie film vibe, but a really good story. Good characters. It's a nice chill movie. Like it's just one of those you just get so wrapped up in the surroundings, the visuals, and everything that you don't realize at the time it's gone, and you sort of get drawn into it. It uses, but yeah, it's another one of those ways I can't really describe it, but it's one of those I would say go see.
Mo keep asking me to go see it, and
go see. Well, this is the thing. I would say go see it. Except it actually comes out on streaming the tomorrow after we're done with this podcast.
What? It hasn't been in theaters that long.
It's already been announced. I saw an email this morning from Paramount that The Wild Robot is going to streaming on October 15th.
Yeah, that's weird.
What?
Yeah, it's been
in theaters for very long at all.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of things this year seem to be going to streaming very quickly.
Yeah.
I did notice that like Beetlejuice is already on streaming.
Yeah. I saw that.
Still in theaters too, so it's just
There was the new Hellboy film that very quickly went to streaming. We got The Wild Robot coming up. And I noticed that Alien Romulus is also on streaming now.
Good, because I didn't get a chance to go see it because of my wife.
Me neither. Mo. So, well, you'll be able to stream it now. But back to sort of games that have been going on. There was one other that I played called Whisper Mountain Outbreak, which is by Toge Productions, an indie developer. Think an isometric survival horror Resident Evil game.
No.
Okay.
No. Keith don't like? No.
You said Resident Evil or isometric. I need my third person Resident Evils. Don't do that. Don't do that.
It's a lot better than what it sounds like. Like I was sort of the same. I was like, oh, isometric. No, but the thing is with it's not a stuck perspective isometric. You can actually change the angles.
Oh, that's cool.
To see other things around you. So it's yeah, it's a very interesting game. Out of the very few games I actually got to play at PAX, that was probably one of my highlights, at least in the indie section. But yeah, more on that later. But other than that, I think that's everything that I've been watching, besides my usual stuff like Simpsons, Futurama, all that normal crap. All right, now everybody gets to sit back for 5 hours while Scott goes through what he's played over the last couple of weeks. All right, I'm going to go and do a lap of the earth. I'll be back by the time Scott's finished, done.
I'm going to time it.
Yep. What's recording time? 10:45, and go.
Alrighty, so first, I guess I should talk about is the reviews came out for 2 of the games that I've played. First one is East 10 Nordics. For those of you who don't know, the E series, it's basically just Adol's adventures and adventuring. He goes to a lot of different locations and he does a lot of action RPG battles and always finds out of some nefarious plot that's going to end the world and decides to stop it. The thing that's cool about
the game, the shock and the horror.
Yeah, who would have thought? The great thing about East 10 Nordics is they also introduced like boat combat. Usually the boats is basically just like you go from the boat to an island and then you don't have to deal with the boat at all. But that's also because a lot of the East games will start with shipwrecks, where Adol will sometimes have amnesia because of the shipwreck. But this one, he actually gets to pilot the boat and you actually do ship combat and you get to like get on top of enemy vessels to attack them on boats, or you can just destroy the boat entirely. It has a lot of cool mechanics, but the problem that I had with East 10 Nordics is a lot of the mechanics take a while until they actually get to feel good. It feels very janky in the beginning because you get like really low speed, really low resources, low ammo locales, and you basically just have like one bullet to shoot all the time, and it's not very fun in the beginning. But once you get all of like your ammo and all your resources and you get like 5 different boosts, it turns into a lot more entertaining and it gets really fun.
So I was listening to that and I was like, is Scott playing a Ubisoft game or?
No, luckily this is more fun than Skull and Bones. At least that's for my opinion. I think it's better than Skull and Bones. I'm sure there might be people who like Skull and Bones better, but for me, I think East is more fun just because there's actual land combat too. The game does a lot of like dual mode stuff because it basically goes to the perspective of Adol and his new compatriot Karja, where they accidentally get handcuffed together, so they have to basically always be together, and so they have combat to deal with that. Yeah, pretty much.
Married. Here we go. It's a game about marriage. Here we go.
As one thing I didn't know, apparently the Steam version of the game is actually co-op. You can actually have couch co-op, have one person play Adol, the other person play Karja. That's not the case in the other versions of the game on the Switch or the PlayStation 5. So if you're looking for a couch co-op game, I guess that's the one to go for.
I thought one of the games was co-op. Was I wrong?
I think East 8 and East 9 both on Steam have couch co-op because there's party members and there's usually 2 people on screen. But in terms of like where they are in the actual like console version, I don't think they have co-op. It's just been something that they've been doing for PC Steam versions. But that's also just because they have different companies dealing with the ports.
Yeah,
in terms of the console ports and the PC port.
Yeah, La Chroma Odana. Yeah, it was that one. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. That's East 8. La Chroma. Yeah. It's fun. The next game that review came out is 8-Bit Adventures 2. It's an 8-bit game that it's a sequel to the first one, but the first one is very bare bones and the story is very simple, that when they do a recap of the story, it's just like, okay, I got it. And then they basically knocked up a lot of the story and everything to 11 for this game. So 8-Bit Adventures 2 is actually really fun for those of you who like the 8-bit era type games. They also added mechanics of later games like Super Nintendo RPGs. That one inspiration you can see definitely is like Chrono Trigger. You also get to see Final Fantasy X inspiration with like you can change your party members on the fly whenever a battle hits. So there's a lot of cool like modern or I guess more modern techniques that they do in this 8-bit game. I've also been playing Metaphor. It's funny because I did the demo of Metaphor on the PlayStation, but I got it for the Xbox, so I had to do like the first 6 hours of the game again, but I just speed ran it, so it only took me like 3.5 hours. But I still really like Metaphor. I got done with the first dungeon. I'm now basically doing like the stuff that you do in town with getting some of the side quests. I was able to do the Minotaur fight and everything, which is really cool. So Metaphor still a great time. Recommend for those of you who want a good turn-based RPG.
The only thing I don't like about Metaphor so far is I have not found a song equal to Mass Destruction.
Yeah.
Where is it? Where is my music at?
Maybe later in the game we'll get that. This is a long game. I'm sure they got plenty of songs. I've also been still playing a ton of Dragon Ball Sparking Zero because I've been doing now the PlayStation version of the game, so I can get myself up to a spot where I can actually play with my friends who have it on PlayStation. I'll eventually have to do that for Xbox, and I realize that I keep putting myself on the what if paths on the episode mode when I'm unlocking stuff because I just accidentally beat the enemies too fast without realizing it.
Did you beat the Grape Ape Vegeta?
Yeah, I did that in the first try on PlayStation.
Was it hard?
Well, the second time, no. On Steam, when I was first playing it for the review, it took me like 2 or 3 tries, but I was kind of annoyed that it took so long for the retry option, because in Sparking Zero, certain boss fights, if you lose to, they'll do a little like cinematic of you losing to the person. And Great Ape Vegeta was one of them, so they knew for sure that there's going to be a lot of people losing at the Great Ape Vegeta fight. So there's like a cinematic of Vegeta just lording himself over Goku on the ground, basically dead, and he's just like, ha! I win. But yeah, on PlayStation, it took me 1 try. I just basically... The funny thing is I wanted to see if I could do it just by doing a bunch of defensive techniques. I didn't even like do offensive like skills. I just did like vanish attacks and attacked him from the back or deflected beams back at him, which was really fun because it was just like I was testing my timing to see if I could actually was better than I was when I first started the game. And yes, I'm a lot better than I was when I first started the game. In terms of what I watched, I actually did go to see Transformers 1 over the weekend.
Good.
So
good. See it again.
Good. I might, but I want to go see Wild Robot next.
See Wild Robot, then go see Transformers again.
just make it a full day just at the movie theater. We go see Transformers, go to Wild Robot, go to see Transformers again.
Yeah.
I also saw My Hero Academia, You're Next, the movie on theaters.
I heard great things about that.
It's really good. I really love like the premise and the concept of having someone take All Might's words and just twisting it to be like, oh, I should be the most powerful person next. I just falling into power is everything trap, thinking that's the whole reason why All Might was so popular.
I mean, wasn't it?
That's part of the reason, but I think the other part is the fact that he actually did the whole make a smile on people's faces.
Yeah.
So I really appreciated that. I have a lot of other games and reviews that will be coming out in the next like 2 weeks. So
yeah, because Scott
watching Outerhaven for that.
We can stop. He's like, I want this and I want this. Like, Scott, I want this. I want this. Scott, you don't. I want this. Scott, just you need to relax. There's a thing called sleep. He's like, no,
I haven't been doing that a lot lately.
So
you need to stop, Scott. You need to stop because the rest of us need stuff to do.
Hey, this
is the Outerhaven, not the Scotterhaven. Okay.
We're at 8 minutes. Are you done? Are you still going?
Nah, I think I'm done.
Are you sure?
The only other thing I can talk about that I've probably done is more Genshin, but I don't think anyone cares about Genshin Impact stuff.
No,
yeah.
Sorry, I'm not. I
don't think so.
I don't care too much about Genshin. Sorry. I mean, yeah.
That's basically been my week.
All right, fair enough. Now we can do the thing here and say we are at. Where are we at? We are at 19 minutes and 46 seconds.
There you go.
All right. So
it didn't take 20 minutes.
No. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, first of all, I'm sorry that I look crooked. I mounted my camera onto a wall and I'm looking at it. And I'm like, it's really bothering me right now. I really want to go and turn it, but I don't want to mess it up. So you have to deal with me being a little crooked. So
afterwards, he's gonna get the level out and make sure. The
I keep doing this, and I'm like, no, but you can see the shell. You know what? Screw this. There. Now that messed up the other way.
No, you're too far the other way.
Yeah,
you need about an inch that way.
I ordered a bubble level so I can just put it on the top of the camera. Right
there, you go.
Yeah, but so you hear the people say a lot that this year has been a great year for gaming, right? And I can agree with that, but I also can disagree with that. And the problem I have with that is I wish people would say what actually is the right thing. And I was going to do a video about this. I was like, you know what? We got the Spectator Mode. Let me just talk about it here. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have not had a great year in gaming. We've had a terrible year in gaming. This year sucks. Let's be honest. But the problem here is people are associating gaming with gamers.
Yep.
Gamers have had a fantastic year for gaming. There's been a lot of games that came out this year. A lot of games that are coming out this year. Fantastic. But for gaming as a whole, it sucks.
Yeah.
Companies are going out of business, laying off people, either game developers, game publishers, game journalists, whatever. Everything is checking the box. And we're not seeing this once every month or so. We're seeing this multiple times every freaking month.
Yeah.
At least almost once a week at the current rate.
And it's terrible. It's getting to the point where people are getting desensitized about this. And that's the bad thing. When this stuff happens, people need to get upset and go, what the hell is going on? Even if you don't think it's going to help, you need to throw your hands in the air and ask the question, why is this happening? Why does this keep happening? And what can we do to help people? And for the most part, there's not really anything that we can do but call out the BS when it happens. When a company says, hey, this is our most financial year yet, and then we lay off everybody in the company. Like, why is that? How do you equate to we made a couple $1 million more than we did last year, but everybody go, you're gone, and let the big guys up top keep the money and screw everybody over? Or when you have companies that fire everybody and then rehire them back for less than they were paying before. This is the crap that keeps happening in this industry, and it sucks, and I hate seeing it, and it really it really makes me frustrated when I see people go, this is a great year for gaming. It has not been a great year. Hope you're all right there, buddy. I know you're not feeling good, Carlos. Okay. It's not been a great year for gaming. It's been one of the worst years for gaming, and I don't see it getting better. I'm pretty sure people that I've talked to have said the same thing. It's only going to get worse. The gaming industry as a whole, both development, publishing, and journalists, is very volatile, and stuff changes at a moment's notice. We got 1 month, a game comes out, it's very popular, it's doing great, and then the next week, the company that developed the game is gone.
Or in the case of like Visions of Mana, the very day the game gets released.
So there goes that. Forget about support. Forget about any DLC. Forget about anything. They're gone. We've seen people dip into the game journalist space where they have these venture capitalists buy up all these companies and then decide that we don't need them. We don't need them, or we brought in too many people, or we have no idea how to manage this. So everybody is losing their jobs day after day, week after week, month after month. Look at Twitter, because I refuse to call it X. People were like, I lost my job. I lost my job. I lost my job. I lost my job. And when you have so many people that are fighting for the same position, it kind of makes you wonder what exactly is happening with the game.
I believe as of this recording that we're doing now, I believe GOG just shut off a whole heap of people.
Yeah, today. Yep, I saw that. Which is weird because GOG is, correct me if I'm wrong, owned by CD Projekt Red, so I don't know what's going on with that, but that's just another name to add to the pile, another casualty of what's happening here.
Yep. And it's like, yeah, we're getting games. Like we're finally starting to get some big name games coming out, and some really good titles out there. Sure, Scott takes 95% of the reviews here, but we have been playing games a lot more this year than we have done in probably the last 2-3 years. Like games themselves are having a good year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like
we're getting tons of them.
Yeah, like many Game of the Year contenders coming out all of a sudden, and like the release lineups for October, November, December are massive.
Yeah,
bigger than we've seen in the last 5 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not discounting that. You're correct.
But that's the thing. Like people are mistaking releases and everything with it being an overall great year for gaming.
Yeah,
which it hasn't been. Like we've seen more studios shut down in the past 2 years than the previous 20 behind that.
Yeah,
we're seeing acquisitions going up massively, especially Microsoft buying up Activision Blizzard and stuff like that, and then shedding 1,200 people or something like that. Even though they said we're not going to shed people at Blizzard.
This isn't going to make result in layoffs. Also, here's a bunch of layoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, anybody who ever believes that there's never going to be layoffs or redundancies when a company merges with another company, I have a bridge to sell you. That's just not how
it's over in
works.
Wales.
That's not how this works.
And here's the thing: it's not overly unexpected, because it's not just gaming that does this. It's every industry right now.
Yep.
This is the shift of power going back in favor of the employer, not the employee. There have been redundancies, layoffs, shutdowns, restructures, all that type of stuff happening in every sector in every part of the world. As we're now out of the pandemic bubble, where companies were desperate for workers to try and get anybody on at any cost to try and get things moving and the economy moving. The economy is moving, might not be as great as everybody wants it to be, but now it's at the point where the employers are going, okay, we need to pull all that expenditure that we put out there back. We need to cut costs, cut salaries, renegotiate everybody. And because now we're in power, because now all of a sudden there's more people out there looking for work than there are jobs, the employer is going, okay, if we fire a bunch of these people and then rehire them back on a lower rate, are they going to disagree? No. Do they have anybody they complain to? No.
Nope.
So they're gonna do it. This is the era of corporate greed resurfacing once again. That's the plain and simple version, is that companies out there are now looking to keep their profit margins high. And in order to do that, they can't raise the prices anymore, because a lot of governments now are starting to notice that all the price rises that happened because of the scarcity during the pandemic are still high, and they're getting higher. So obviously it wasn't scarcity that was pushing up prices. It was
opportunity.
Yes, it was the opportunity. So in order to, if you can't push up the costs of something to keep your profits up, what's the only other way to keep your profits up is to decrease the expenditure of a company, which is why you're seeing a lot of companies going, hey, we've had a great release of this game, but we're shutting down the studio.
We don't need another one.
we've posted this multi-million-dollar profit, but here's a bunch of layoffs.
Well, let me get into one of my favorite ones, though, Carl.
Mm-hmm.
As of not those, because obviously that's just how it works. But more than anything, as of late, is gaming journalism, and that's just been a crock of shit.
Yes,
there's my one curse for the show. It's been a crock of shit. So I already said it once, so it doesn't count. We've seen so many people buy up different companies, bring them under the umbrella, or we see people that only care about the bottom line, the margin, and then when the almighty Google shits the bed, which it has been doing for the last year and a half, I know we've seen it. We've dropped a lot of traffic ourselves. I still has people that I've talked to on a daily basis always complaining, "Hey, Google's really screwed us over."
Yep, I put that out on Twitter, and I just said, "Look, we've seen a 50% drop." Turns out that we was experiencing what did you say? Eventually, it was what 60%.
60% drop. 60%.
Drop in our own discoverability and readership.
I'm happy to say that it is going up, which is great. But it took how long and what to do to fix it, and we still have no idea because Google's like, we're just going to do what we want to do and change the rules. But these companies that rely on metrics and ad revenue and ads, they go, hey, look, we've lost all this traffic. We're not going to keep people here. We're laying people off. And these are companies that have a surplus of money, and they're just like, we don't care. Then why did you get into this field in the first place when you know that it is volatile as it is?
Because again, to go back to the old adage, during the pandemic, a lot more people were sitting home. A lot more people were reading video game blogs. People were still watching more YouTube critics. They were watching, Twitch streams. They were buying more video games than they were. Now that things are returning to quote unquote normal, people aren't doing that as much. So ad revenue is down, profitability is down. And what happens when profits go down? People start losing jobs.
It's terrible. And again, it's just
I expect to be let go from the Outerhaven any day now.
He's gone.
I'm gone. All right, see ya.
It's just like what I was saying when they let go people and then rehire people, or they don't do that. A great example is Vice. Last year, Vice shut down Waypoint and fired everybody around June of 2023. And as of recent, they've announced that Waypoint is coming back.
Ooh.
But not with the same cast. And so far, the only person who's been doing any work on that website is a person called Dwayne Jenkins. So all the people that they fired, they still owe money to, both full-time and contributors, haven't seen nothing, are getting very upset about how they were treated. But of course, Vice doesn't care. Vice is getting back into gaming. And the question is, how long will they be into gaming? Look, it's like, if you're going to get in and weather the punches, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
But that's the thing with investors. They don't roll with the punches.
Exactly.
They come in, they make their profits, then they dump onto everything just when things start to go downhill. That's basically, investing 101 is you buy the dip, you invest the money. Once it hits a high point, you sell. Or if you hit a high point and you start to see that it's going to go down, you sell.
Which is terrible. It's a bad way to go. I understand that money is the almighty driver, whatever. But people who built you up and made you who you are deserve better. I don't want to sit here and talk about that for 30 minutes because I totally can, but I don't want to.
Yeah.
Here's the big thing that's the biggest problem with a lot of things, and I'm going to point out a very US problem. Union.
Yeah.
Is that companies do not like unions.
No, they do not.
Because unions actually get shit done in favor of the employee. We have a big union culture here in Australia, and our unions get shit done. They make sure people get good pay rises. They make sure that the industry has a lot more viability, that people are protected when they are fired indiscriminately. You don't have that in the US. You have unions, they just don't do shit. Because corporate will find a way to get either stop people from joining a union or unions from forming or whatever, and then just go, well, you have no protections. Fuck you.
Yeah, we've seen that happen too. I won't name the companies, but we've seen that happen.
Yeah.
Gaming companies need unions in all shape and forms. From development to publishing to games journalism, you need to be in a union. If you are not in a union, find out what your union is and join it.
Of course, companies will find a way around that, like saying, for example, if you get hired, you cannot belong to a union.
Yeah, that sucks.
We've seen this.
Yep, and the thing is, they can't. Again, it's a very US. That's a very US problem. In Australia, you are allowed to join a union. The company can't turn around and say you can't join a union. They can't put it in your contract that if you sign this, you can't join a union, because it's actually been made illegal in Australia to do that type of thing, because the government stepped in and said you can join a union if you wish to. But the government in the US, once again,
Well, that's
we
not
love
There's a lot of problems
we
there.
love the companies. We love the companies. So we're going to legislate it that they can do whatever they want.
So with this, I'm going to leave it at this and say it has not been a good year for gaming. It's been a good year for gamers. Okay,
Yes.
let's say the correct way. Gamers, not gaming, and not gamers, the company, because they've
been a bad year for those guys.
They've had a bad year as well.
yeah. Okay,
I mean, it's a bad year for gamers' wallets, that's for sure.
that's for sure. But hey, you know what? Let's talk about something that may or may not be positive. Carl, you're up, buddy. PAX, man. You're the PAX, man. What's up?
Man, I only just got back this morning.
Get the word. Talk about PAX.
All right. Geez, what to really say? My overall impression this year was not as great as I initially came out of it with. As it's well known by this point, I had back surgery over 3 months ago. Therefore, my ability to walk has been affected to the point where I have a very limited walking range each day. Usually about 300 odd meters or so, which we're working on. It'll get better. But in order to get around PAX this year, I required a mobility scooter. For those of you who don't know what it is, think like a very small 4x4 or ATV, as you guys like to call them. But it's battery powered. It doesn't have great turn circle, so like turning is not that good to do. I need a lot of room to turn around, stuff like that. I have found from that aspect, or like that viewpoint, PAX is not friendly to people with disabilities.
Aw.
But it's a bit deeper than that. The organizers and the enforcers at PAX Australia this year, absolutely brilliant. They were really nice because I had the medical badge. They went out of their way at any point to move people out of the way so I could get by. If I wanted to go to a booth, they would find a way somewhere for me to park the mobility scooter. They would find a way to get me to be in the line without actually having to drive in the line in the little serpentine way that they do things. They didn't have a go at people as much as they used to in the past. I know, Keith, you had issues with enforcers recently telling you to move your camera and stuff like that. PAX Australia, not a problem. If you were media and you had to record somewhere, the enforcers were not allowed to say anything to you.
Oh.
You're trying to indicate something about the color of the skin, are you?
It was observed.
You saying it's a
At PAX West, it was observed. I'll leave it at that.
okay. All right. But they were really good. Like the enforcers this year, we had to talk to a couple of them, myself and my wife, who you can see hiding in the background. She's doing her schoolwork. There you go, get a wave. Even she talked with a few enforcers and found out that this year they had a big lecture before they were told anything, that if they've got a media badge, you are not to tell them. You are not. You are not allowed to yell at them. You are not allowed to grab them. You are not allowed to push them. You are not allowed to get in their face and tell them to move. Media are there to do a job. You let them do their job and let them move on.
All right, let me let you talk. I have to stop you. I love you. I have to stop you. Okay, I have to. I talked about our experiences as a PAX West, and I wrote Repop, PAX, I complained on Twitter, and I think another organization. And I was like, look, we are media, we are press, we are there to do a damn job. And a number of your enforcers stopped us from doing our job. And that's not why we're here. That's not why you're paying and giving us badges for free to come to your show and cover your show. You know, I understand your enforcers are there to do a job, but some were downright ignorant. Some were very cool. And I get it. But what you're doing is incorrect. And I don't want to say that maybe everybody who wrote in complaining about that maybe got Repop to go, maybe we should stop doing that. But I'm glad to see that that has been a thing for PAX Australia. I'm sorry, I will not say anything else.
No, that's fine. There were complaints that had been handled before the convention opened. That was a part of that speech. So the fact that this is possibly feedback that has come from other PAX events this year, yes, I would say it's probably been taken on board. There was also a thing of if you get caught getting in the way of talking negatively to anybody, media, general public, whatever, and you are seen doing it, they take your shirt off you on the show floor and frog march you out the building.
Is it like it's like DJ Jazzy Jeff in the First Prince going Jazzy out?
Not quite, but there were 3 female enforcers who were forced to leave the building in their bras because they literally went up and said, "You're done. Take off your shirt. Hand us the shirt. Leave." Yikes. Like it was that you were immediately terminated on the spot and told to leave the building. They don't care if you have to leave the place topless, whatever. They don't care. You give us our shirts back, you get the fuck out of here. So there was a big turnaround with the info. Even guys that I had issues with in the past were extremely pleasant and nice to deal with this year. So the organizers and the enforcers, a big thank you and a great change in attitude this year. Where I have the issue and the problem with what happened to me being able to get around to do things is the community itself, the general convention goer. The amount of times I was bumped into physically, like myself, the amount of times people bumped into the scooter, the amount of times people just walked in front of me and stopped, or stopped in front of me, was insane. It got to the point where I went down, because it's the 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sundays, everybody knows. My wife and I went in on Saturday. We were there for less than 2 hours before we left.
Oh, wow.
We went in, we did 1 lap. It was near impossible for me to get anywhere. I couldn't get into any lines to see anything. Like there was no way I would be able to do my job on a Saturday. Because it was the only full day they had this year, which is the other thing, which is quite interesting. Friday, got around, not a problem. It was probably about 80% capacity. I had no issue getting around, doing the Outerhaven thing, running around in the shirt that I have and talking to the PR people, getting to see some of the games that are available there. Well, I didn't really end up doing any videos just because it was too much of a hassle to get all my camera equipment out and get set up this year. So it was more just sell the Outerhaven to the publishers to try and get us stuff to do, or maybe get Scott more stuff to do because he does everything.
That's why I do less work, because Scott's doing everything, and nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Scott's doing all our reviews from now on. It's
I just work on the website now. That's
yeah. Yeah, I just post grumpy opinion pieces. But yeah, like Friday was great. Got in, I did all the run around during the media hour, introduced myself to like the Ubisoft was there, Sega was there, Final Fantasy and Xbox was there, but not really there. They had a weird booth set up where it was more about they were doing they sort of had like a little retro building that looked like a video store that had just copies of all the games that are on Game Pass sitting on shelves.
Okay.
So like the boxes, they had gaming posters up everywhere. They had like a really goddamn old piece, an old Intel. I reckon it would have been an Intel 2 PC sitting there, like old school games, like with those speakers that when you got a phone call, you hear the, you know, like that era of gaming, like set up there. And those keyboards, oh my god, we have come so far with keyboard technology. Going back and just pushing the buttons on that old school keyboard was just, oh my god, how did we survive back in the day?
People still like those keyboards, right?
Oh
yeah. And the mouse was a proper the one with the rubber ball.
Oh no!
In it as well. the old school mouse and everything.
That still makes me like PTSD of trying to use that mouse on like freaking StarCraft.
Oh, especially if you hadn't cleaned it that week because of all the crap that was in the rollers.
You had to basically just take the roller out and put it in a thing of water.
Yeah, pretty much. They had an old school Xbox, original OG Xbox display, like the old standee where you had the Xbox in the screen and it had Xbox up top and everything. And then in a back area, they had a whole heap of Xbox Game Pass PC games for people to play and try. But the main point for the whole of that was there was things that you could buy. You could buy keycaps based on Game Pass games.
Why do they keep selling these things?
I have no idea. But I know the reason why they did it here. The reason why they did it here this time around was because it was basically they were taking all the purchases for those keycaps, and all the proceeds went to cancer research. So that it was essentially a fundraising booth. Which, you know what? I dropped $10, got 10 keycaps. You know, that's a charitable donation.
Where's mine? I want a keycap.
I can send you one of the extras.
I was waiting for you to say you'll get the keycap when you send me turtles because it's still sitting there.
Well, we could do that exchange at some point. I'm quite sure.
I gotta get that. I'm just gonna say, you know what? It doesn't matter. Just get this out of my house.
But they also had these available as well.
That's
like
cool.
it was like an old school. There's a
what is that?
Sort of cover it. There's like a barcode there as well.
It's
meant to be like an old school membership card,
like key card, from
yeah.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Well, it because the whole thing was based on an old school video store.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So they had the video store membership cards, which we used to have back in the day. Remember?
Yeah, back when those stores existed.
Yeah, exactly. Back when the stores roamed the land in the early days of the internet. There was another. I did go and get photos of the Steam Deck, which was recently announced to be coming out in November here in Australia.
That's exciting.
There is the prices as I go to try and quickly pull up, because I did take a photo of the prices. The 256 gigabyte LCD version is 649 Australian dollars. The 512 gigabytes OLED version is $899, and the 1 terabyte OLED version is $1,049.
But hey, at least you'll be finally able to get the Steam Deck officially.
Well, the thing is, like, and somebody that I was talking to sort of did the math. It's basically conversion prices. So it's whatever the US is converted and sort of rounded out, essentially, which is not bad. Like, quite happy with that. I will be speaking with people from from Valve, and hopefully I can get one to review and play with and
No, wait.
do
Let me
the
ask
thing.
you, is the ROG Ally available in Australia right now?
I don't know.
Okay, I was just curious if
I know there's an MSI one coming.
stay
Australia soon as
far
well.
away from the claw.
Yeah, the
That's
claw
the
is not
second
good.
one. Don't.
Okay, so stay away from that. All right, fair enough.
Well, they have two versions now. The first version of the claw is terrible. Stay away from it. They realized that the first version sucked, so they're working on a second version of the claw. The first version, no, run. If somebody tries to give it to you, run. You don't want it. You don't want it.
The claw.
You don't want it.
Okay.
Yeah,
No,
you don't
I want a Steam Deck. So if the nice people over at Valve want to send me one, then I will not say no. Other than that, there was no Sony, no Nintendo, technically no Microsoft. There was a big Final Fantasy booth, which there is every year, but outside of that, there wasn't really anything. Like they said, Blizzard's gonna be there, and like Ubisoft was there. They were showing Star Wars Outlaws and a few other games, and it was like, eh. They said, oh, Blizzard's gonna be there. They're gonna have Bethesda there. They're gonna have Square Enix there. It was all photo booths.
No.
Wait, Capcom was there with Monster Hunter though, right?
No.
Oh,
no.
That's not
no. Bethesda's contribution was a Doom photo booth.
Oh wow! You
That's
get a picture
terrible.
of Doom guy.
Well, that's essentially it. Blizzard's contribution was a Diablo 4 statue photo booth. Square Enix had the Life is Strange photo booth. There was an Indiana Jones photo booth.
No, that's not good.
There was, outside of the indie and a couple like Sega, Final Fantasy, and Ubisoft, there was barely any video games. 95%, like easily, I'd say 50% of the convention hall was like MSI, Steam Deck, Senecom, PC, Aftershock PC. It was all tech guys. Blue Mouth Interactive, who does the distribution for the what's it called? The controller you put on your phone that's done like a Xbox.
Backbone.
The Backbone.
Okay.
They were there. Crunchyroll had a booth. They had some sort of like dome thing that was like a surround experience for solo leveling.
Oh.
And you could buy a couple of very overpriced statues from their booth.
That tracks.
See, Scott, lose my voice again. What the hell?
But the thing is, like, even then, we had tabletop area as well. Mm-hmm. We had like Exploding Kittens. We had Dungeons and Dragons with Magic the Gathering. Lorcana took up a large portion of the booth. There was a few smaller retailers like Bushy Road had a small booth for like Vanguard and Weiss Schwartz and all that type of stuff. But it really was it didn't feel right this year.
Well, this is what I was saying. I had this conversation with Scott. I was saying, PAX East was PAX East. It was okay. PAX West, it was like, there's a lot of things that happen between PAX East and PAX West. And now PAX Australia, which is happening towards the end of the year. And it's like, was it going to be anything there? And for what you're saying, it wasn't, which really sucks because it means that
the thing is last year, which I didn't attend because I was just suffering from burnout, and I was like, I can miss a year. That was a year that they had Nintendo, they had a whole ton of big publishers. This year, no, nothing. Like it really felt disappointing because if you want to go there and you want to like play on laptops that you couldn't buy at the convention, cool, you could do that. Samsung and LG had booths there, showing off latest TVs and computer monitors. Could you actually buy them there? You could buy them, but they'll be shipped to you.
Yeah, same thing at PAX East and West.
You know,
I don't like that.
But if it's one thing, this is like I'm going to do a full like big ass wrap up article in the next couple of days. Try and get it out by the end of the week. I'm sending as feedback for not only the fact of being somebody who's technically considered disabled, having a bit of a negative experience just due to the community, but I'm going to send along a bunch of things that they need to start fixing at these conventions. And the top of my list is limit the amount of tech companies that come to this event. This is meant to be video games. Yes, I know they are video game adjacent because everybody you need to buy a PC, you need to buy monitors, gaming chairs. Don't have them take up half the space.
What about controllers?
You like Backbone? Because that's pretty much all they had.
Well, that was the thing when we were at PAX. I'm like, Razor's there, and like, so
Razor wasn't there this year.
where's everybody else? Where's
they had it? They had some sort of it was like key. It's like keychain or keycharon or something.
I've never heard of it. I don't know what that is.
Like it's a keyboard company that makes like really funky looking keyboards. They were there. That was the only other place that sold actual accessories.
Really? Okay.
Otherwise, I hope you like the Backbone.
Not even PDP showed up.
No.
Wow, not even PDP. That's wow.
No, nothing. Like it really felt like it was everybody just went, it's Australia. We don't care. And just didn't bother to show any, like even the stuff that was shown. Sega, like I said earlier in the show, no Sonic X Shadow. They had a photo booth where you could take a photo with a guy in a Sonic suit.
Scott, was there any Sonic at PAX West? I don't think there was.
I think they had one booth for Sonic, but I don't know if it was the game or not. It might have.
The game wasn't there because I would have jumped on it.
Yeah.
They had Sega's other showing was some like 2 Point Academy or something along those lines.
What?
I don't know. It was looked like a Sims knockoff. Let's try and see if I can quickly search it up. Sega.
While he's talking about that, I still
2 Point Hospital.
The hospital. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like they had that there, and that was it.
That sucks. I'm sorry. Buddy.
Like I don't know if I really took a shot of the. Yeah. The Ubisoft boot had Star Wars Outlaws, the Crew Motorfest, Prince of Persia. That was it.
Damn, it sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm really sorry.
It really, there was really not much. Oh, sorry, not 2 Point Hospital. 2 Point Museum is what Sega had there. And it was just like, oh, okay. Like the Final Fantasy Dawn Trail booth was set up in the style of like almost like a tropical village, which looked really good. I already played the game.
It's the experience, my dude. It's the experience.
But the thing is, there was no experience. There was no experience to be had. But then again, like, because I do a lot of stuff for Final Fantasy, I don't need to go into, like, they had a new beginner's experience. They had a raid challenge that you could do. I didn't need to do that. A lot of people were doing it because they had a really cool hat.
Yeah,
the blue bucket hat? It was a blue bucket hat with I came for the tacos or something on the front.
I got one of those. I walk up to the booth like, I don't have time to play the game. I want the hat. Here's my badge.
I didn't even do that. I was just like on the Friday. They were the first thing that was in the entrance. I happened to roll up, and my my contact was out the front. He's like, "Oh, hey, Karl, how you doing? Yeah, you want to come in and have a look? Park your scooter here. Here, have a hat. Here, have a pin. Have this, have that. Here, I'll give you stuff." I'm like, "Okay, cool, I'll take it."
So the question is, was there at least good swag there? That tells me no.
It was really bucket hat season. I got more than one bucket hat. Like I got one from Final Fantasy. I think I got another one from MSI or something or somebody else. I can't remember off the top of my head who. I got a few pins. I got a couple of stickers, stuff like that. Nothing major swag wise. Mainly because I don't really bother with grabbing much swag. It's like if they hand it to me, cool, no problems. I think one of the girls at the booth actually handed me something that she wasn't supposed to. You know those the USB-C laptop like a multi adapter that has like USB ports, HDMI, card reader, the hubs.
Yeah.
She gave me one of those. For some reason, I think that was just sitting on the table. I don't think that was something she was supposed to give out. But I took it anyway.
I was gonna say, did you be a good person and give it back? He's like, no, screw that.
No, screw that. They gave it to me. I like those things. I'll keep that. But yeah, like it really. My takeaway from all this, and my wife agrees. We had a big discussion afterwards about it all. That I think, at least for me and her, like we'll go in on the Friday. So I go in, I do all my media stuff, all the stuff that I'm there to do the work. And I get to look around at the same time, have access to things and everything else. Saturday's going to be a no-go. And I would say to anybody who is on crutches, in a wheelchair, needs mobility aids, whatever, to get around, do not go on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday.
You will not be able to get around, and the chances of you being re-injured or something is pretty high.
That's every PAX, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Somebody's been to PAX West and East. That's every Saturday. Saturday is when everybody's like, I don't work. I'm not in school. Let's go to PAX. And it's just terrible.
If you do want to try and get a bargain, go on a Sunday in the afternoon, late afternoon, last 3 hours or something, and you might get a bargain. Rachel actually got probably the best bargain of the weekend. She was after a Dungeons and Dragons set that at the Wizards booth, the Wizards of the Coast sponsored Dungeons and Dragon booth, was retailing for $150. She found it at another seller's booth for $65. So she got the big one there. Me, on the other hand, I got a whole heap of Dragon Ball Heroes Broly cards for like rock bottom prices, because the guy was like really nice doing me deals and shit. So I made sure to go back a couple of times and buy some extra stuff off him. And I got my yearly shiny Click Clack dice from Random Encounter Dice, because they do a charity thing each year that benefits the Starlight Foundation, which is Children's Hospital, where you pay. It used to be $10, but it's now $12. You roll a dice, you get a set of dice. They give the money to charity. But mind you, they had a little extra bonus that if you rolled a nat 1, they would donate $5 on your behalf extra to the charity.
Oh.
We just happened to go past as they ran out of the random rolls. And the last guy that was there rolled a nat 1, and their total for the weekend was $845 extra going to charity.
Jeez.
But yeah, that was pretty much PAX AUS. I think I spent more time in the hotel spa than I did actually at the convention. But that being said, the big thing for me happened before the convention, which was getting a chance to sit down with Final Fantasy XIV director Naoki Yoshida. This was one of those out of nowhere type things, because of the work I do with the PR company that represents Final Fantasy XIV here in Australia. They happen to have, as a part of the what do they call it, the International Games Association thing like that. It's basically called the short version is called Melbourne Games Week, where it's all about developers and stuff like that. Their keynote speaker before PAX was Naoki Yoshida, the director of Final Fantasy 14, producer of Final Fantasy 16.
I mean, all we got was Phil Spencer. Jeez, man.
Like on the Tuesday night before PAX, it was basically one of those fireside chat sit downs. He gets interviewed. You get the privilege of sitting there and watching him talk for 6 million years. Because man, that guy likes to talk. One question can go for 25 minutes. Wow. So I went to that on the Tuesday night, but leading up to this, I got an email saying, hey, there's a possible chance that we might be able to get you a one-on-one interview with him.
And this was Carl's face.
Yeah. I basically sat there just going, the fuck.
Pitching himself.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, you're reaching out to me to interview like one of the influential minds of modern gaming. Okay, what did I do to deserve this? Oh, right, I sacrificed my back to get these opportunities. Because like earlier in the year, I got a chance from All Elite Wrestling to interview one of their guys for the upcoming Australia show in February next year. So people reaching out to me for opportunities for things that I have done or said or something else have just out of nowhere. And so we went back and forth. It was sort of on and off whether I could get the opportunity to sit down with Yoshida-san. I got an email Tuesday afternoon saying, okay, sorry, he's not going to be able to fit you in. Sorry about that. 10 minutes later, I get a phone call. Don't worry about that email. We've got a spot at 11 a.m. for you to come in and speak with him one-on-one.
So they basically told the other person, screw you, or we're going to come to your house and kill you.
So somebody else must have dropped off, or they were able to talk the guys into allowing an extra interview. Turns out I was actually going to be the first one-on-one interview of the day. So I got to go in, got to meet Yoshida-san and ask him a few questions. I had a bunch. I had about 16 questions on this sheet. I think I got through about 6. Because you ask him one question, and you'll see this in the video. It's all recorded. I've just got to do some editing and some audio fixes. I asked him a question, and let's see if I can just pull up some of the questions because I still got the copy on my computer. Like basically, I started with Final Fantasy 14 has been going strong since Realm Reborn. What do you think is the appeal of a Realm Reborn over the original 1.0 version? He just about every question I asked him was deep and technical, and you see him go a lot of times just going, I know, and then he does that for a moment, then he's just like, I just keeps going, and he'll stop for a moment, and his translator, which I think is his wife, she's writing down on a notepad everything he's saying and everything, so she can translate it. She'll translate that all into English, and then as soon as she stops talking, he starts again. And it's like, I think the first question almost goes for 15 minutes. So it was just an amazing experience just sit there and ask him some of these questions. I didn't even get through half of what I had, but it was just one of those, I'm sitting across the other side. I'm just like, with the limited Japanese that I can understand, I'm just sort of like, okay, yeah, okay, I get it. Yep, no problems. Hi. And yeah, it was just great. Like, it was an amazing interview. I can't wait to get this up. I am going to have to do a recording where I'm sitting in front of this camera to introduce it, because I had 45 minutes, and I swear I could have gone longer if he didn't shut up. Nothing against the guy, but man, he's long-winded, but he gives some absolutely brilliant answers. An amazing experience. At the end of it, I got him to sign my Final Fantasy 14 cookbook. And like he was actually impressed by the fact that I actually use it. Because I said, I'm an avid cook myself. I've used recipes from the cookbook, this, that, and the other. And he's like, oh, usually people just buy the cookbook as it's just a bit of merch,
novelty,
and get it signed, and they never actually crack it open. To hear that you're actually doing these recipes is amazing. And then once the camera shut off, we sort of did the Minnesota long goodbye, where we're still talking for an extra 10 minutes afterwards, discussing his love of snowboarding and where to go to. Because he was like, he wanted to come, he wished he could have come during the winter. So then he could have gone up to the mountains and go snowboarding and that. And we said, no. Well, if you're going to go to the snowboarding, so you go here, or you go to New Zealand, you do this, that, the other. He's, oh, yeah. And then,
it sounds like that
was a blast. That was a blast. Like, afterwards, you could not wipe the grin off my face. Like, even coming home from there, like, it took us about 45 minutes to drive home. I was still in shock that it even happened. Like, it was like I'm waiting for the alarm to go off, and I wake up and it was all a dream. But no, it actually happened. I got to sit down with Yoshida-san and just talk. And it's one of those experiences that I'm gonna hold with me for the rest of my life as a great highlight in what we do here. And Keith, a good thing you got this recording, because I'm gonna say this. Thank you, Keith. Because if it wasn't for you allowing me to stay on this website after the man who brought me in got kicked out, I would not have these opportunities.
And how many times?
Thank you for having the Outerhaven.
And how many times you tried to leave?
Several. And I probably will do again. Because I'm not needed. Because Scott does everything.
I don't get interviews with Yoshi-P though, so.
but yeah, like that was one hell of an experience. For those who do want to see the Evening with Yoshi-P event, it is up on the Final Fantasy 14 Twitch channel. In there, I think it should still be in their clips section. I believe so. It all depends on, because they usually archive a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 14. Let's have a quick see if I can find the channel. But yeah, it should hopefully still be up on there. If you go to the official Final Fantasy 14 Twitter, no, not Twitter, the other one that starts with T, Twitch. The Twitch one. Go into the video section. Yep, there is. It's at the moment. It's still the second video in on recent broadcasts and everything with Naoki Yoshida. That was the event that I went to before sitting down and interviewing him. So, yeah, that was my experience. That was my highlight for that week.
Cool. For at least a year. No,
definitely.
No, he's supposed to say until the next one.
Well, that's the thing. That there may be another one. I have been reached. I think the more once again, it's like doing cookbook stuff seems to have hit something recently, because I did get an email while I was at PAX for the cookbook roundup that I did for the Outerhaven that you can go and read. Seems like one of the publishers read it and has offered me the second volume of one of the cookbooks to review.
Oh,
so
nice.
I'm now trying to get the logistics of that finalized. So who knew, just doing a roundup of cookbooks and stuff like that, and work doing press releases with Final Fantasy 14 and talking wrestling on the internet, and all of a sudden I get the big companies reaching out going, hey, would you like to talk to this person? Would you like to do this? Would you like to do that? Would you like to come to this? Sheesh.
So let's talk about something. I removed one of the topics. I figured we want to be here all night. And honestly, I really didn't care about that one topic. But this one in particular has been something that I've been wanting to talk about, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this more and more, especially this year, because there's a lot of great games that have been released this year that aren't considered games. They're expansions, they're DLCs, and unfortunately, these games don't get considered as part of the Game of the Year awards, which is very frustrating because I think that whole thing needs to be reconsidered, considering the fact that once upon a time there was a DLC, an expansion that did get considered for Game of the Year, and it won. So how do we go from having a game being considered for a Game of the Year award and winning it to going back to, oh, this game is just a DLC or an expansion? It doesn't count. I mean, it's still a game. It doesn't make a difference that, oh yeah, you need to have the original game, the base game, to be considered. But I mean, look how many games we're neglecting. Final Fantasy 14s. Look at all the massive expansions they've had. Look at Dawn Trail. Look at, I hate to say it, all the expansions for World of Warcraft. Some were amazing. Look at one of my favorite ones, Shadow of the Erdtree. It's just, and could have been Elden Ring 2. But they said, no, we're going to attach this to the original game. And unfortunately, because that's the case, people go, oh, it doesn't count. Even though it's sitting up on Metacritic and OpenCritic as one of the highest rating games of this year and of all time. Oh, it doesn't count. It's an expansion. I mean, how is that? How that's a big injustice.
See, there's like, I agree, but I disagree at the same time. Like, it all depends on the expansion. If it's something like that is a full-blown expansion to the game, like even the Elden Ring DLC, Final Fantasy 14, World of Warcraft, stuff where you're getting a story mode or you're getting more full-blown content.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I agree that should be up for contention because that is new content. A lot of people see expansions and stuff like season passes. Like they call season pass an expansion. I don't think stuff like that should be considered.
That's why I differentiated, I hate that word because it's weird. I didn't say expansion or DLC. I said expansion. There's a difference between an expansion and a DLC. A DLC is, we'll use Street Fighter. It's the easy example. We've added 4 new characters as part of a season pass. That's DLC. Now, if they came out with like the Shadow Falls for Street Fighter 5, was it 5?
I think it was 5. Yeah.
I think so.
It added more story mode. It changed up the game. It added new features. You know, I mean, obviously, a fighting game was never going to be considered Game of the Year. If it never did, wow. But that's a great example. I'll go back to Shadow of the Erdtree. Shadow of the Erdtree added a completely new world, new storyline, more bosses, more items, more lore.
Like for a fighting game example, probably the expansions to Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat 1. I would consider those as possible contenders, like in a contenders list,
right?
Because they add another story. So I don't know why people have this hang up that only new games, like brand new games with no extra content, no nothing, should be considered for Game of the Year.
I mean, we got people asking for remastered games to be included.
No.
So
I will vehemently disagree with, because if somebody decides they want to put Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster onto a should be Game of the Year contender, they can go piss off.
Well, that's the thing, Karl. It can be added, but it should not win.
It should not be added.
There should be some taste involved.
No,
let's keep in mind
if you are adding content, then yes, you should be allowed to be there for Game of the Year contention. If your expansion is adding proper content.
Yeah, I
Then yes.
guess in this part of the remaster, it'd be like adding Sonic X Shadow Generations, because they added a whole basically new game added to it with the Shadow Generations.
Yes.
But I'm not talking about that.
But the thing is,
that was a good example. The Shadow Generations, that's a great example. Well, I mean, obviously, yeah, because you can't go buy Sonic Generations anymore. It's a new game, guys.
yeah, that's fine. You want to put World of Warcraft: The War Within up for Game of the Year contention? That's fine, because it is whole new content.
Exactly. That's my point. But you talk to these bonehead people on Twitter and various other places,
but because World of Warcraft is a 20-year-old game, then it shouldn't be up for Game of the Year contender, because it's a 20-year-old game. But it has new content.
Exactly.
Its content is considered, the expansion content is considered whole new content.
Exactly. It's an old game with new. It's an easier way to say, hey, this is the sequel to the game. This is the sequel to 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 the sequel.
See, but at the same time, here's the thing. Spider-Man, the first Marvel Spider-Man,
yeah,
right, had 3 extra DLC campaigns.
Yep.
I wouldn't put that up for Game of the Year contender. I wouldn't put that section as a Game of the Year contender. There's a difference. If Spider-Man 2 comes out with a bunch of DLC extra content, I probably wouldn't put that up for Game of the Year.
Well, see, that's why you have to have a definitive what qualifies for Game of the Year. What qualifies as an expansion versus, again, a DLC? Does it change the gameplay? Story mode, fine. Does it change the gameplay? What else has changed? It has to have criteria for me to be added. It has to add certain things to the game. If you I just added some new story bits, but the gameplay is still the same, well, it's still the same game. I mean,
but for me, it has to be. Does it add new location or characters to the story? Does it add a new story? Those are my main 2 bits of contention.
And that's where somebody needs to come up with that criteria and go,
yeah,
there's a reason why these games can be added as Game of the Year, and they have to meet boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I mean, we've got people here, I'm not going to say who, that add games in certain categories that should not be added, like adding seafood to fighting game of the year. Like, that's, fighting games of the year need to be, they are basically stated that they need to be.
But Sifu's not a fighting game.
It's not.
No,
neither is Smash Brothers.
We're not going to step into that. No.
That's a whole other water. That's a whole other section of the pool to wade in through.
Yeah, I'm not getting. I've seen some heated conversations over that. I'm gonna just leave that alone.
But the thing is, it's like, the expansion pass for Mario Kart 8. I wouldn't count that as something that is qualifying for Game of the Year contender.
No, that's DLC. That doesn't count.
Racetracks.
But still, it's new characters, new content.
I mean, that's just like new content for Forza Horizon. I wouldn't add that as Game of the Year because cars go vroom. Does it change that? No. Okay. Doesn't change that.
Different cars go vroom.
Yeah, that's all it is. On different tracks. Okay, great. Is there anything else special to it? No. Okay, well, it doesn't count. Again, I keep going back to it has to change this. It has to change the gameplay. And if it's an action adventure RPG type of game, it needs to change and or add story bits and possibly new locations, to the fact where I'm gonna go back to Elden Ring, which really sucks, not the game, but to play the DLC, the expansion, they lock it behind 2 optional bosses that you have to go fight, and you need to level up somewhat to be able to do that. But there have been some people who've managed to cheat the system and go directly into the new expansion fresh and make it a completely different experience. I didn't have to fight these bosses. I just jumped right into here. That's a different thing. I do think From Software needs to go back and revisit their concept, their idea, their reasoning to making people fight optional bosses, one of which is a huge pain in the behind to get to in the first place, and just go, hey, if you want to play the game and get your ass kicked, more power to you. Go for it. You shouldn't gatekeep that. Let me jump into the new expansion fresh, because you literally can. They give you starting weapon and literally everything. It's like, again, a whole new world.
There's nothing wrong with a standalone expansion.
No, there isn't. I don't know. It's just like me yelling again to that giant echo chamber, and it gets frustrating where you try to put out logic and explain why you feel this is to go. So for somebody to go, what doesn't make any sense? Nuh-uh. It's like, come on, guys. Use logic here for a second. I'm basically breaking down the bits and pieces why this should be a thing. And again, if you're going to do that by that stupid criteria, then change the wording of game of the year. Because last time I checked, an expansion is still a game.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say full game of the year. It doesn't say you need to have only this part of the game of the year. It's game of the year, meaning any game should be allowed to be included, recommended.
It should at least be in the discussion.
Yeah, it should be for discussion. It literally should be in for discussion. And for people who don't understand that, for these organizations that are still very close-minded, we know a couple of them. Another one's coming up very soon. They need to go back and look at that and go, you know what? You're right. We need to change the way we think because it's too narrow-minded. We need to change that. Yeah. Or don't, and keep leaving out amazing games because you're stupid.
It doesn't count your criteria.
It doesn't count because it isn't a new shiny thing with a number at the end. Because I'm sorry, if you're going to exclude expansions from Game of the Year, technically you should also be getting rid of sequels.
I literally said that. Exactly it. They shouldn't be allowed.
But no,
why?
No, they allow it because, Spider-Man 2's got to win some awards.
All I'm saying is I know a lot of people are gushing over how amazing Dawn Trail is, and it's just like, well, it might be a great expansion, might be one of the best expansions. Guess what? It'll never be added as Game of the Year. Sorry. Shadow of the Earth Tree will never be added as
because Final Fantasy 14's been around for over 10 years.
But you know what? Final Fantasy will get added to best ongoing series. And still lose to Fortnite.
Yeah.
Because actually, who won that? Who won that last year? Was it Fortnite? Me? Best ongoing.
Apparently, it was Cyberpunk 2077 that won it last year. With its one expansion.
That's why I literally did what I did. Like, why? How is that even? How? It's just one. And to be honest, Cyberpunk should be a nominated for anything for a very long time.
It should only be nominated for a Razzie for the worst developed game in the worst release of all time.
Well, there have been some that have surpassed that, so we'll just leave that as it is. But oh yeah, and Fortnite players were mad because they thought that Fortnite should have got best ongoing game.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much anyone was angry that wasn't Cyberpunk fans.
I mean, what about Final Fantasy?
Final Fantasy was on there, but it.
What about World of Warcraft?
Warcraft wasn't even nominated.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, Warcraft doesn't even get nominated for anything anymore because it's like, oh, the game's over 20 years old. It hasn't really done it. It doesn't change. Me.
But every expansion, you get a brand new story, new locations, new classes, new spells, new abilities, new weapons. Mm-hmm. It's a new game every time. Every freaking time. And you exclude it. So, hey, guys, if you ever listen to this podcast or somebody who knows somebody who's going to get onto one of these committees, maybe put this into their head that they're doing things the wrong way. Game of the year.
or better yet, Doritos Pope. You got 3 judges right here.
Game of the year.
We know what we're doing.
Jeez.
We know what we're doing.
That
We've
is
been around this. We've been around this thing longer than you have.
Around a lot longer than some people have, but I digress. Anywho, welcome back, Karl. We missed you, and congratulations. Speaking of Yoshi-P, why is he called Yoshi-P in the first place?
Yoshi is the first part of his surname, and he's the producer, so Yoshi-P. I didn't actually ask him. I'm just making that up.
I was like, that's not his first name.
I think that's just the way he has his character named when he's actually playing in game.
I need to figure that out because I always wondered why do they call him Yoshi-P? And did you ask? You should have asked him why his favorite class is what is it? The White Mage?
No, I didn't get a chance to ask him that directly. I think the most personal question that I asked him in the entire thing was about the he put a 1-week delay on the Dawn Trail early access release date because of the Elden Ring DLC. I asked him if it was a business decision or if he wanted to personally play it.
No, he wanted to play it. He told me.
The only way to find out is to watch the video when I put it up.
I think I read that before that he wanted to play the game. So, I'll just have to whenever somebody puts the interview up, I can actually read it one of these days.
It'll be one of those things that I'll get around to since now that I'm back home after the convention.
We could have had an AI write it for you.
Oh, God, speaking of that, oh, my God. Ladies and gentlemen, a word of freaking warning to finish up the podcast.
Oh, no.
The latest Microsoft update adds that fucking, what do they call it? Microsoft
Copilot?
Yes.
Oh, it's been here, buddy.
It adds that to the taskbar of it tries to force it down your throat now.
Get used to it. That's going to be there forever. But you know what? I don't use the normal taskbar. I don't use it.
I pity anybody who has to use Windows 11 because I'm sure that's integrated into.
And now that I have Mr. T into my head, good job. I pity the fool use Windows 11.
I pity the fool that uses Microsoft Copilot.
I mean, it's not bad. It could be better.
I don't want anything AI related on my system.
It's unfortunate. It's
because the thing is, how do you know it's not running in the fucking background? There's no way to disable it completely.
Just trust me. Trust us. It's not running.
Right. Let me just pull up my task manager here and let's see. Let's see if I can find
our AI overlords are coming, and there's nothing we can do about it. It's just what we can do to shape the future. Or don't use that. Don't use it. What am I using? My brain's not working.
Everybody, go to Linux.
Don't say that because you're not free there. You start 11 for Windows 11. It's a taskbar menu system. You try that. You have to pay for the full version.
I'm still on Windows 10, so
you won't be on it for long.
I'm gonna have to because for some reason when I try to do the things to fix it to do the Windows 11 update, my system doesn't work.
Windows. Is it because of the security you're not having in your system?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and when I enable that security thing on the motherboard, it won't boot into Windows.
Because you probably got a software one and not a hardware one. Because that was a bad decision from the get-go.
Probably.
Because they didn't take into consideration people's hardware. Because everybody's got the latest and greatest.
Oh yeah. So I'm gonna have to go and spend $3 odd grand on building another PC.
I mean, I'll probably have to do that anyways too.
That's all right. I realized after this weekend I need to retire my laptop.
How was your laptop?
Let's
that old,
see.
Huh? Okay.
It would be probably it'd be easily 10 years old. I went to do a driver's update through Lenovo, and they went, "What the fuck is this ancient piece of shit?
What is this computer?
this is a legacy product that we no longer provide updates to." I'm like,
I love when that
"Great!"
happens.
Yeah, because I tried to watch a stream through Discord the other day, and it was laggy as hell, and I know it was the PC because it wasn't the internet connection.
Yeah.
So I need to retire my laptop and get a new one.
Oh, good old PCs. What can I say?
Yep.
My favorite gaming system out there. Oh, you know what? I have something to say real quick before I go too.
Mhm.
I've been watching a lot of the PC versus console stuff on Twitter because it's always ongoing.
Of course
And,
it is.
I keep seeing a couple of things that really piss me off, and I'm going to keep talking about them until eventually it goes away. One, you freaking morons! You can play a computer at your goddamn TV. You don't have to play it at your damn desk. I really wish you would stop saying that.
There's this thing called a HDMI cable. It's what most monitors use to connect to your PC.
Oh my god!
And guess what they plug into? A TV.
They're like, you can't play at your TV. You gotta sit at the desk. I'm like, and every time I see it, I go, you gotta be kidding me. And it's for well-known people, for people that people pay attention to. I'm like, you guys are morons. Two, and this one's very annoying. Very freaking annoying. Carl's playing PlayStation. He's like, shut up, keep fucking playing the game. I'm letting you
Final Fantasy.
No.
Get this out.
I'm starting the download for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero.
Oh, there you go.
Man,
Okay.
you'll be done on that for a minute.
Yeah.
It's not that long because it's only like a 30 gig download.
Really? That's actually
it's
really
really small.
It's only a 30 gig download. How about those type of download sizes, Call of Duty?
We're not even going to talk about those. Anyway,
it is only 10% of your install size and has more content and better content.
Yes.
The second thing is you don't always have to go into your BIOS. If you're going into your BIOS every time you start your computer up, you did something wrong.
Yeah,
you
seriously.
broke something. Hardly ever do we need to go into BIOS anymore. Half the time,
BIOS is like a last resort.
If you're overclocking your memory or your CPU, or you want to change your hard drive boot menu, blah blah blah, because now you put hard drives in your computer, the computer goes, oh hey, you added this thing, we're good to go. You don't ever need to go in BIOS anymore unless you need to do something or you busted something. So stop saying that, please. Oh my god.
That also being said, do make sure you keep your BIOS up to date.
Yes.
But don't do beta BIOS updates.
No, don't go into beta branches at all.
Unless you like living on the edge, because you will live on the edge.
Sometimes they're good betas and sometimes they don't work.
And my last one is I work on a computer 8 hours a day. Why do I want to go home and play on a computer? Well, there may be some truth to that. If your PC sucks. Sorry.
Yeah. If you're playing on a potato PC, then obviously that's a you problem.
I mean,
and so many people going, oh, but I don't want to use mouse and keyboard.
That's
what
controllers are for.
You see this, right? You see controller. You know what they attach to? You know what they attach to? They can either attach via Bluetooth or you do this. This is cable plugged into the computer. You do this.
You mean like the same thing I can do on my Xbox?
And you can play games just like you would on a console.
And you get all the same cool stuff. So stop that. Stop saying that. But
and even a lot of PC games these days, a lot of them are starting to come out with, like, you load up Steam and you load up the game and it says on the screen, this game is best played with a controller.
Yeah, there's actually a lot nowadays that
not to mention that there are also games that also include DualShock, DualSense, and even Nintendo Switch at support.
Yep.
So that's another reason. Stop doing that. Stop listening to Greg Miller. He doesn't know what he's talking about in terms of PC gaming. I really wish you would stop listening to him.
He just hates PC gaming because he's a moron.
Just stop listening to him. But again, if I work 8 hours on my computer and then I came home to work on a super ultra mega PC with ultra wide and 4K monitors and OLED and
Yeah.
super amounts of RAM and CPU on a game that's optimized and not running like a piece of shit, Silent Hill 2, then yes, I would enjoy my time. But if I'm playing nothing but terrible games on a piece of crap PC, which happens, not everybody can afford the latest grades. I understand that. I can see your argument. Speaking of which, go watch Digital Foundry's Silent Hill 2 video and then cry. Okay, we're getting out of here.
Why do you want me to cry, Keith? Why do you want me to cry?
You should just watch it. Did you watch it, Scott?
I watched parts of it. I didn't see the full thing yet.
The beginning of it
sad.
is amazing. It's great editing, but the takeaway is Stutterfest.
Get on a PlayStation.
And even on the PlayStation, it stutters. And he even came out and said, "Hey guys, the PlayStation 5 Pro, which a lot of people are saying is going to fix it, will not fix it because it's a game engine issue."
Yeah,
that's it. We're getting out of here.
No, we're not. I want to have one more little complaint.
Okay, fine, good play.
I want to have a little complaint, and it's one that we brought up recently, so we're just following it up on it. Ladies and gentlemen, could you do us a little bit of favor? Stop listening to the dickheads on YouTube who farm you for hate clicks.
Asmongold, don't listen to them.
Yeah.
Asmongold, Vera Dark, side scrollers, all fucking Yellow Flash. If you see anything that says this game sucks because it has DEI or Sweet Baby Inc. or if there's woke anywhere in that title, as much as I hate these companies, I hate companies like Sweet Baby Inc. that purposely go in to try and change shit for the stupider. Suicide Squad. Need I say more? But sometimes these companies aren't as influential as you think. And these people who go out there and say, don't play this because it has X company attached, rah, rah, rah. Guess what? They're fucking wrong 9/10 of the time, and they don't even play the games that they're talking about.
They just farm your clicks, you moron.
Exactly. The biggest one out there at the moment is with Silent Hill 2. They keep coming out and going, don't do it because they changed this, they changed that. Fuck it. The company Hit Detection is involved, and they made one of the characters actually have a bit more human look to her rather than being a skinny dead stick. Oh, they changed Maria's outfit. Oh my god. The game itself
is amazing.
Yeah, 9s and 10s across the board.
Except for the stuttering, it's amazing.
Yeah, except if you're playing it on PC, then that's your own problem.
You guys were completely wrong. Completely and utterly wrong.
Yeah, Bloober Team hit the game out of the park. And there are other games out there and other movies and stuff like that out there right now that are not getting the support that they need, that they're not getting the eyes on them that they need, because people would rather sit there and listen to these morons who sit in front of a camera all day. I just realized how much of an oxymoron I fucking am in that sentence. I just realized I hate calling myself out as a fucking hypocrite.
This is where we need the Team 4-star Karl own.
But look, like the not so much like guys like us. We're passionate about the industry. We want the industry to help. We want it to grow. We want it to evolve. The only way that does happen is if people are playing the games that are actually worth playing. A lot of these commenters don't play the games that they're commenting on. They see a news story and they run with it. They see, Transformers 1 had a very low box office opening. Therefore, the movie must suck and Hasbro's to blame because XYZ. But oh, look, all the reviews are positive. Why is that? Movie.
The only thing that sucked was, B127.
Not Bumblebee.
Silent Hill sucks because they changed Maria's outfit and one character got a bit of actual, a fuller face because
got some
people aren't. She isn't a skinny stick anymore and looks like child bait. Yeah. Oh no. The game plays very well from what I've heard, and I've had a lot of people having a lot of fun with it. sometimes these people are wrong. And I encourage people to go do your research and listen to the right type of people. There are too many of these commenters out there that are turning around and going, don't do this. Game journalist sucks. Don't listen to them. They're bought and paid for.
I wish we were bought and paid for.
I wish we were bought and paid for. I wish we had money behind us. But as I've been saying this entire weekend to independent developers, we are 100% independent. We have no financials backing except whatever Keith decides to put on for the server and anything else. Keith funds all this out of his own pocket and with what little ad revenue that we derive each month. So we are 100% independent. If you want to listen to somebody, go find the independent sources. Don't rely on IGNs, the Kotakus, all that. They're good for some news and stuff like that. Their scores, whatever. But if there are plenty of independent people out there who come out, they play the game, they do everything properly. But unfortunately, their voices are being drowned out at the moment by professional hate click farmers, essentially.
Pretty much.
And they are becoming as much of a problem in this industry as much as the people that they're arguing against. So for every one of these DEI companies that they're going at, like the Sweet Baby Inks, Hit Detection, whatever, the people that are commenting against them are becoming just as big a problem as those type of companies. So maybe it's time that people stop listening to the retards in the echo chamber and actually listen to people whose job it is or the passion it is to play and review video games. That being said, now let's get the fuck out of here.
All right, we're out of here.
Because I'm 2 hours late from lunch.
All right, guys. So once again, thanks for checking out Spectator Mode Podcast, the official Outerhaven gaming podcast. We're not the Nintendo guys. You can check those out on Thursday. But as always, you can find us.
But they have Scott there.
Yeah, Scott's there. Scott, see, he's there. Whatever. You can find us over at theouterhaven.net. Of course, you also can find us over at Buzzsprout. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. And if you do watch our content over Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. It helps us out a lot. You can also see us on YouTube Podcasts because Google Podcasts doesn't exist. Spotify, our Twitter channel, and wherever else you happen to find the Outerhaven. Just Google the Outerhaven. You'll find us. And not the other Outerhaven that try to steal our name. Outerhaven Games. This is our name. Sorry. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. We are out of here. Good night or good evening or good morning.